Our runner-up for most inspirational player goes to a featherweight who was told he had no business playing in the Pac-10, yet becoming a starter. He endured one tragedy after another his entire life, but his greatest tragedy occurred 1 week after he set foot on campus. Shoot, I'm giving away the story. Just watch.
We had an incident in 1981 where we had a guy named Rod Rutherford who's out of Oregon. Great guy, just a good old cowboy, just a redneck. Just a lovable guy, but kind of goofy.
He's one of the characters, you know, you look back on and say, hey, that guy gave it his all, fought tooth and nail for everything we had, and was one of our bigger impact players on our team that Holiday Bowl season.
Just a really good guy.
As soon as my hands and feet dropped, I mean, I knew I was shot.
Okay, lad, you've lost some blood. Just hang in there, okay? You're gonna be all right. We're gonna get you there as soon as possible.
Wow, that was a short life. I grew up in a little town in eastern Oregon, 2 hours away from the nearest theater. I graduated in a class of 76.
If you went out into the school parking lot, most of the pickups out there they'd be unlocked, and they would have a rifle or two in the back window. It was just the way things were.
I was 5'2", 106 pounds when I was a junior, and on graduation day I was 5'4" and weighed 130 pounds soaking wet. You know, you get put in games when there's 15 seconds left and your dad's out on the floor threatening to whip the coach after the game, and that was my life. My dad owned the sanitation service in town, and so while I was rodeoing for 2 years after high school, you know, I worked with him. I remember sitting in the garbage truck driving past the high school and looking over, and they were starting two-a-days camp. And you know, that was the first summer I graduated. And at 5'4" and 130 pounds, you know, we drove by and I said, well, I won't be playing football ever again. He goes, you can go to college and play. I just couldn't believe it. Are you kidding me? I'm 5'4" and 130 pounds. Yeah, I had one of those dads that convinced me that I could do anything I wanted to do in sports. That's what I'd like for my story to do, is give all the little kids out there some hope. I grew over the next couple years, and I ended up getting a scholarship to a junior college to rodeo, and that's what got me going to college to begin with. My second year at Treasure Valley Community College in Ontario, Oregon, I was weighing about 165 pounds, and I was 5'10" then, so I decided to play football for no particular reason other than, you know, I wanted to see what it was like to get to play the same size that all the kids in high school got to play at. So Coach Woody came down to Treasure Valley and actually watched some game films of me, but told me that, you know, from my films he didn't feel they could offer me a scholarship, but I was welcome to walk on if I wanted to give it a shot. Went into fall camp. Coach Walden told me that me and Joe Taylor, a strong safety from New Jersey, and Jeff Poppy, a receiver from Washington, were the three walk-ons that he was going to give us scholarships. We were staying at Stripe Parham Dorm during fall camp, and I was headed up to training table to eat, and Samoa, our quarterback, and Junior Tupuola, a freshman linebacker from the island of Samoa, flagged me down, and they wanted to ride up to training table.
So in the front of Strite Hall, we were going up the hill, and I felt a metal object underneath my leg, my thigh. Now, you know, I felt really uncomfortable. It looked exactly like a cowboy gun. Then I go like this, I'm looking at it with my finger barely touching the trigger. I asked Rod, I said, Listen, Rod, is this thing loaded? I mean, is it a real gun?
Bang.
Smoke quickly filled in the car.
I put my hand to just trying to stop, and I was yelling to say, "Junior, get something to hold on to to his neck." And then he took his T-shirt, and I said, "Okay, you hold on it. Let me go out and seek for help." I was yelling. I was scared.
We're sitting at a training table, and someone comes running in and says, "Junior shot Rod. Junior Tupuola shot Rod Rutherford."
You know how you turn on a water faucet? That's exactly how the blood came out of Rod Rutherford's neck.
It's like, oh, Junior, what have you done now?
I cannot believe I did this.
It paralyzed me from the neck down. It hit one of my vertebrae and dropped me.
And I'm like, Rod, you okay? Rod, you okay?
And it hit one of the main arteries in my neck, and so there was a stream of blood hitting Junior in the back seat all over him. He was a mess.
Man, I didn't mean to shoot you, dude. I'm sorry.
First, I didn't say anything. I just waited to die. I felt really bad for my parents because they'd already lost my older brother. Got killed in the rodeo when I was 15. He was 17.
I cannot believe I did this.
And when the doctor got there, the first thing I asked him is, "Am I going to live?" And much to my surprise, he said, "I don't know. It's too early to tell." And I said, "Well, give me a phone. I need to call my mom." I called Mom and Dad on the phone after the doctor said he didn't know if I was going to live, and I said, "Hey, I got shot in the neck. It's no big thing. Don't get in your car and race up here and get in an accident. Just take your time. I'll be here when you get here. I'm okay." And that wasn't exactly the truth. I talked about playing football at Washington State being one of the high points in my life. Might sound kind of funny, but when I finally got my finger to move and it twitched real fast, like that, uncontrollably, I just got it to flick like I was flicking a fly or something. And man, when I seen that finger move, the doctors at that time said that they did not want to attempt to take the bullet out at that time because there was so much damage internally and one of the arteries were knocked out, and so if they'd have tried to remove the bullet at that time, they said most likely I would bleed to death right in front of them. You know, I'd go hang out at the football field during practice, and I started getting really depressed. I didn't feel like I was getting any attention from the coaches, and it was a non-football related injury, and I hadn't signed my scholarship or anything, and so I lost my scholarship. You know, and that's when I made the decision, you know, I need to withdraw from my classes and get out of this environment right now because it was messing with my head a bunch, and so I just needed to go home where I could focus on getting back my movement in my shoulder, and because I got movement back from the neck down, but my right shoulder was completely dead. I knew I could go back and be a kicker at Washington State if that's what I had to do. It might have taken me, you know, a year or 2 years to get good enough to get that spot, but I would have got it. You know, I'd go up to high school and try to lift weights, and I couldn't even push a bar up. I couldn't even bench a 45-pound bar. And I'd been benching, you know, 300 pounds before I got shot. It got to the point I was so frustrated because I couldn't get past 185 pounds on the bench press. They had a chain and a padlock that always hung on the door, and so, you know, I locked it. I hadn't even been able to get 185 up, and I went on up to 205. And I guess my thoughts on it was I'd pretty much had enough of this crap, and I was either going to get the bar up without anybody there to help me, or somebody, you know, maybe walk in and find me laying there with it on my neck, I guess. But I got it up. and I got it up. When I got the 205 up, I knew that I'd be playing again. And when I went back up to camp in the spring, I was benching 320 and squatting 500 and dunking basketballs. And, you know, I went back up lighter but stronger, faster. And I showed up in the football office and said, I'm ready to play. And I walked out through that tunnel and stepped on that turf again. On top of the world.
Behind by 4, driving to go ahead. Allen takes the handoff, has time, goes for Allen, and it's almost intercepted by Rod Rutherford, number 19. Rutherford made a great play. Allen dropping back. Fake to Robinson. He steps, goes long downfield to Allen. Both safety men are there. Almost made the interception. Had the ball been a little bit longer, it appeared that Allen maybe hasn't beaten.